there's 2 or 3 exhibitions actually. There's the artist books and sculptural books downstairs and in the rooms across there. There's Veronica's exhibition, is Veronica, in the hallway of the photographs. And in this room we have the silver exhibition, which I'm the editor of the magazine for IAPMA, which is the International Paper Association. My name's Gail Stife, by the way. And what I did was, a couple of editions ago, I sent everyone a piece of silver paper that size and asked them to produce an artwork in celebration of IAPMA's 25th anniversary. And these works you see here are the result of that. Over 100 members of IAPMA sent back artworks. And they've donated the works as a fundraiser for IAPMA. And my initial idea was to take them to the next Congress, which is in the US, but once all the works arrived, they took up 6 large plastic crates, and the thought of transporting them to the States was a bit daunting. So that's why they're for sale here. Some of them are reserved because they're going to be shown in Bairnsdale next year. So now I've got a few thank yous. I'd like to thank Marion Little, firstly, wherever she is.
Just there.
She's done an immense amount of work with the sculptural books exhibition. I haven't got my little list of helpers names, but I can remember most of them. The other people who helped out with the setting up were Helen McPherson, Barb Adams, Liz Winter, Loris Button, Dinica McLean, Mary Quinn, Andrew, and what was there? Julian, I'm not sure what the name is, I'm sorry. So they all helped us with the hanging. It took us, well, even in this room, it took 2.5 days to get this room done, and the other rooms has taken a lot longer. Now, I'd like to now invite our guest speaker, Alison Inglis from Melbourne University. She teaches art history and art curatorship. And I'd like to welcome her and to say a few words.
I'd like to say how delighted I was when Gail did contact me about the exhibition. I've had the pleasure of working with her in another hat she has with the Women's Art Register. But I have an absolute love of paper, and she couldn't have asked me to speak at an exhibition which is going to give me more pleasure. So I just want to say a few words about paper because I do love it, and I'm obviously surrounded by fellow paper nuts. And I remember many years ago as a schoolgirl being struck, I think, for the first time thinking of paper as rather than a utilitarian object, but as a work of art. And I was actually reading George Orwell's 1984, and you might know, but there's a passage in the book where the rather sad, downtrodden hero comes across a piece of handmade, creamy paper, antique paper, and he gets hold of a pen with pen and ink, and one of his sort of subversive acts in 1984 was to write on this beautiful piece of paper. And I remember the time, and it stayed with me, that idea, the quality of the beauty, the tactile and physical beauty of the paper came through, and it was a bit of a revelation. And later on at the university, I had the pleasure of really getting together a course on teaching me history of materials and techniques, and that allowed me to insert a week on paper and paper making, and I was given some people gave me some beautiful examples. I got a beautiful 18th century piece of paper with all the laid lines and a fabulous little sort of arcane watermark, and they're glorious things in their own right. And of course at the university we also have some wonderful works on paper collections. We've got a great print collection. We've also got some fabulous artist books. I was in fact talking to someone just before, there's a beautiful golden cockerel book, specialist book exhibition on at the moment. So it was fabulous to come along here, lovely paper, to come and see some examples. And I must say, I came yesterday, Gail kindly took me around, and there were such beautiful pieces. And I love the whole play of not only paper as a work of art in a sort of a picture sense on the wall, but we've got scrolls and codexes and books and boxes. And we've got boats. I loved your sailing piece, and you know, some of them really stood out in my mind. That wonderful New Testament, and I was listening to the oral book and turning the pages. And I love the whole business of putting on the white gloves. And in my curatorship program, we do look at conservation for curators, and we do look at the whole issue to do with books and their condition and longevity. So it's a pleasure to see, I think, the diversity of the works on display and also the great quality. And I said to Gail, when she talked about this particular show, this room, sending out these pieces of silver paper across the world and inviting the artists to return, I said, you'd expect some of them to look rather similar. And I thought the really striking thing was the creativity and absolutely great diversity of these 100 members sending back their little objects. And I thought the process of this exhibition itself, where the world was invited to contribute and everything ends up here in Smith Street, was rather fantastic as well. Now, a couple of other things I wanted to mention, and that is I was able to take away with me two of the bulletin of IAPMA, this wonderful international association for paper makers and handmade paper artists.
Something like that, yes.
And
doesn't
then,
quite match the letters.
that's right, I was looking for the H. And then this glorious sculptural paper and artist books. And of course, they are giving you this fabulous work of art in its own right to accompany the show. And I was talking to Gail before, and I was involved with a William Morris exhibition many years ago. And that's the problem with someone like William Morris. The material that accompanies the exhibition has to reflect his superb craftsmanship, that absolute, nothing would do but, you know, the most perfect production. And I always felt our colours were slightly wrong, and our design wasn't quite up to it, because it's very hard to compete with William Morris. But here with this exhibition, the accompanying material is as glorious as the objects on display. And I think that says a lot, both for the great professionalism of your organisation and also the creativity of its members. And as I came here today, driving along past the Australian Print Workshop, and there's wonderful also the press nearby, and we've got works on paper across the road, and I was thinking about the Artists Book Centre in Queensland, and I thought what a perfect place for the 25th anniversary to be in Australia. And though we've got artists from Israel and the Netherlands and Korea, and you can see the different cultural traditions emerging on the works, but I think it's a perfect thing for 25 years. A generation of this organisation it's been bringing like-minded people together who love paper. I think it's essential to have an organisation to be a focus for this type of professional arts organisation, but obviously it's going from strength to strength. So all I can say is here's to the next 25 years, and I'm delighted to declare the exhibition open.